We start, though, in a world where death has disappeared. In the world's hospitals, morgues become wards, although in the absence of absence, the planet soon faces a suffocating overpopulation problem. Such a reversal of the natural order can only be a case for the secretive Torchwood Institute.
When are you going to let me go?
Well, I don't think that's possible.
I've served my sentence.
Granted, the execution was flawed, but that doesn't defer the sentence with respect. You don't reprieve a man you failed to hang because the rope snapped.
Indeed, and with respect, that particular aphorism applies only for an execution which has failed.
Bill Pullman as Oswald Danes, the first man ever to recover from execution on death row, in a scene from the opening episode of the 4th season of Torchwood, which tells a single story called Miracle Day over 10 episodes. The series was one of 2 satellite narratives, the other being the Sarah Jane adventures, spun off from Doctor Who by my next guest, writer-producer Russell T Davies, when 6 years ago he turned an abandoned and tacky series about a time traveller in a police box into one of modern TV's most powerful franchises. Davies has recently moved from Wales, where the new Doctor Who and its spin-offs were filmed, to Los Angeles, where he's co-producing Torchwood with the American cable network Starz and supervising what will be the final series of the Sarah Jane adventures after the death of its star, Elizabeth Sladen. I started by asking if, having handed over the role of showrunner on Doctor Who to Stephen Moffat, he's ever tempted to become a backseat driver in the way that retired politicians sometimes do, or finds the press tempting him to.
They do, actually. Someone at, I think, Radio 5 has got my number on speed dial, and when my phone rings in America at 2 in the morning, I think, oh, what's Stephen done now? Literally, they get me into rent-a-quote sort of stuff. I mean, as if I'd ever be that person, but I'm genuinely loving it. I am that viewer. You're talking about a show I've loved since I was 3 years old. I will never stop loving it.
And the complicated thing with these divided franchises, so you've got Doctor Who, you've got Torchwood, you've got very poignantly now the Sarah Jane Adventures.
The sad loss of that, which was terrible. And, we all mourned the passing of Elizabeth Sladen, which is still a shock to me. And also the passing of the programme. I loved that show. I thought we made a beautiful, beautiful drama. And it's so sad that it's gone. We've got 6 episodes that will be shown in the autumn. We had made 6 episodes in advance, starring Liz at her finest, and we will be launching them properly in October, I think. But I'm still amazed by that loss and quite speechless about it, and I don't know what to say because it was terrible. It's such a shock.
And in other circumstances in TV, people say recast, reformat, but you presumably had to face that decision.
We just couldn't, and we didn't really have a conversation about it. We all knew what we thought and phoned each other up and said no. It's just we hope that team of people can come together and do a brand new show. That's our plan at the moment. Not Doctor Who related at all. But it's almost too early and too soon. We'll take our time over that.
To what because of having those 3 franchises with different audiences, you have to think about that, do you? Because there's a certain amount of overlap. Anyone who's got children knows this, and
yes.
So younger children want to watch Torchwood because they know it's spun off from the other one. So you can't really control that, can you?
No, you have to be quite careful with it, more careful than you normally would be, because now obviously Torchwood goes out at 9 o'clock, and we've got it coming up on BBC One now, but you won't have any swearing on it. We've never had Captain Jack swear because he's loved by children and children will come to watch it. So we don't tone Torchwood down as such. There's still strong meat and there's some great visuals and some great gore in this show. But in terms, and Captain Jack freely has an open and honest and wonderful sex life, but that's fine. It's just the harsher elements, the literary swearing and his actions as well. I don't think you're ever going to see Captain Jack stab someone brutally or something like that because he's a children's hero.
And you mentioned the gore. There's a scene in the first episode of a suicide bomber after the bomb has gone off.
Yes, you don't often get to see that.
On a mortician's slab. You really don't often get to see that. It's a quite horrifying moment when we see that.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of fun as well, because the concept of this is that no one dies, which doesn't mean everyone's invulnerable. It's not that everyone's become a superhero. It's literally bodies will not die. So we still get hurt, we still age, we still ache. And in that case, if a bomb goes off right in your stomach, you are still alive on the mortuary slab. It's not tongue-in-cheek. It's done very, very seriously. But it's never likely to happen in real life, is it?
While you've been away, the Prime Minister, who may in fact have changed while you've been away, it's now David Cameron, but
yes.
he has said that the watershed is not being policed properly in TV and that he's given TV 4 months to crack down and get it all in order, yes.
Oh, I didn't know he given... Yeah. I tried to follow the headlines here. I didn't follow that. Well, and I'd love to know how... Oh, don't start me on the... I've come
No, we're starting you.
Right, don't start me on the coalition government, who are do you know their greatest trick is to appear as buffoons and to make everyone think they're funny? That Clegg and Cameron photo opportunity at the bed. Oh, we're all laughing. They're savage and evil people. Underneath it all, I do think there's a great intelligence behind the Tory party that says, let's appear slightly bumbling and slightly buffoonish while they're lethal as a laser underneath it all. I mean, how marvellous was it to launch those cuts on the licence fee on the day of all their austerity measures? So when I always presumed that when massive cuts came to the BBC, we'd all be scaling the barricades. Except if you do that when we should be scaling the barricades for children and health and food and schools and roads, then it's very easy to put the BBC at the bottom of the list.
Why should the BBC not be cut in the way that everyone else is?
It can take cuts. There are cuts, but these are I don't imagine these are the last of the cuts. This is a precedent for cuts. Can you ever imagine it going back up again? No. And that is truly something of great cultural value. It's like it's always very easy to say that a school is more important than a play, that a hospital is more important than a drama, and that's because we're talking a totally false language in which these things are comparable and one reduces the other. That's the language of economics that simply doesn't fit cultural life. Oh, don't even start me. If he started to say that sort of stuff about television, when is he a consumer of that stuff? When do you imagine David Cameron actually sat down and enjoyed a night's television? How much do you think he knows about it?
But he has children and politicians rattle, but he has specifically said, and this may affect you, which is why I'm asking you, so 4 months to clean up the policing of the watershed. He thinks it's being ignored in TV.
Right.
Do you think it is?
No, I don't think it's certainly as stringent as ever. And I'm delivering Torchwood to BBC One. We've been delivering these episodes of weekly edits, and it has sex and it has violence in it. It does seem more stringent than ever, I have to say. I've always thought that if your drama depends on a sex scene or on a swear word, then it's possibly a very slightly odd drama. I think that's true of some dramas, I think something like Queer as Folk. That's actually quite rare. So I don't think you should automatically take a stance of saying these things are automatically good, because, you've got to take it as it comes. It does seem more diligent than ever. That's why I'm surprised that he's saying it needs policing. It seems to be policed ever since, as we all know, Jonathan Ross and the whole of the BBC came tumbling about our ears. Compliance has been mad. But no matter how mad compliance gets, I think with diligence and with hard work and with a very, very close eye on the guidelines, you can get strong material transmitted. I do believe that.
On the budgets issue, because you blow something up. I won't say what it is to spoil it for in the first episode
of Wales,
Torchwood, which looks quite expensive. So have you noticed the cuts in budgets?
Yes, it's partly.
You were going to blow up the whole of Wales.
Well, exactly. I mean, I did leave 2 years ago, so I haven't been here for the swinging cuts. I know even when I was on Doctor Who, that friends of mine who make drama in Manchester would sort of phone me up and say, I can't believe you had a scene set at night, because you simply can't afford night shooting anymore. They would literally look at stuff like that with envy. So there are cuts in the air, but there are also very good savings in the air. Again, if a drama depends on that, then what sort of drama is it? The move to America was partly coincided with the success of the last series of Torchwood, which has allowed us to get co-production money. This new series of Torchwood is in conjunction with Stars, who are a sort of premium cable network over there, the equivalent of HBO and Showtime, and they're just starting out. So they brought a level of funding that we wouldn't have got from the BBC. I have to say, if we hadn't, we could still have made this series. But this co-production stuff is nothing new. You haven't seen a Dickens drama made for about 25 years that didn't have money from Boston in it or something. So this is the way of the world now. Co-production money is natural.
Torchwood is still significantly Welsh, and in fact there are some gags. One of the American characters is surprised to discover that Wales is not directly next to London and is actually its own country, and that kind of thing. So those are there, but did they all come to Wales to film it?
They did. It's like partly we brought America to Wales. We came here for 3 weeks. We did stuff on the beaches of Gower and in Swansea City, where my family live. So there was a lot of outdoor stuff there. We then had the hilarious experience of building Wales in Hollywood on the Warner Brothers lot. You know that lot where you expect to see Roman centurions walking past a robot and all those little golf carts buzzing about. And in there we built the Cooper's house, which is Gwen's mother and father's house. A little terraced house in Swansea was built in this soundstage in Hollywood, and some of those Welsh actors.
It's been quite a surreal moment for you,
was very, very strange, because, of course, it was dressed. It was very hard for the designers over there because, even with a nice budget, you can't afford to fly every prop over from Wales. And of course, I was on the alert for just the right toaster, just the right washing machine, just the right tea towels, without it being a tea towel with a Welsh dragon on it, without sending it up.
And when you when we spoke before you went away, you were starting to think about your next original drama of your own. But has anything happened on that?
It has. The first episode's written, and now I've got to get that I think it's the best thing I've written in a decade, to be honest, Mark. I think it's cracking. It's back to the kitchen sinks, people in kitchens just talking, and it's just real life again. And
what's it called?
I don't want to say yet because it's such a good title that someone will grab it and make it. It's going to be
it's contemporary domestic,
gay. It's just simply the thing I've got to get made next. And if I have to leave America, I have to come here. If only Eskimos will make this drama, you will find the characters suddenly living in igloos because I'll go and make it there on an ice floe. I love it. I'm so proud of the script, and I will get it made.
And writing, because you've been writing in America, does it change it in any way that you're surrounded by American culture rather than British?
You kind of you realise that joke about the English language is true. And just the other day in America, I used the phrase, chance would be a fine thing. They stared at me like I'd just spoken Martin. Chance would be a fine thing. And they'd never heard you explain it. Every day you come across something. I love the fact I think American language is much more concise than ours. That's the surprise. I think if I'm converting a sentence from British to American, I tend to chop words out. It's a very British thing to sort of say, what on earth do you mean? And a very American thing to say, meaning? It's much more direct. It's very businesslike. I thought it would be looser and more rambling, because I think I've got that Valleys dude rambling relaxedness about it. When you actually come to write it, you realise how precise it is.
Russell T Davies. Torchwood, Miracle Day, begins on BBC One next month, alongside Radio 4's related Torchwood drama.